here's a little sneak peek of what we're making today. We have a very exciting collection of flowers this week. It's Peony week. Alrighty, let's see what we have. So of course we have a gorgeous bunch of peonies, locally grown, and we have Statice, which is an incredible, long-lasting flower. We have it in 3 different colors, so it's going to be a bit of a lucky dip. We have this lovely kind of purpley color, this one that's more kind of a pale blue, and then this gorgeous vibrant purple. So you might get one of these colors. I think I'll go with this one because it's on top, and I love this kind of periwinkle color we've got going on. So we'll start with prep, and our Statice is pretty easy. It comes with lots of little blooms coming off the main stem. I'll just remove the lower, kind of has this foliage kind of growing out of the side of the stem. I'm just going to remove all of that. And Statice is native to a few parts of the world, Asia and the Mediterranean. It grows in coastal regions all over the world. And it's really great because it's almost like straw flower. If anyone has ever had bought bunches of straw flower, the blooms will never die and drop off, and they'll keep their vibrant color for years, honestly. So this is a great one. After your peonies have said their goodbyes, you can pop these in a vase and they'll last forever, and they're just beautiful. So as you can see, there's lots of stems coming off the main stem, and I'm going to keep them intact for now and then decide how I want to break them down once I start getting them into the vase. I find that easier rather than taking them apart and then you can't put them back together again. So I've prepped all of those. And then our lovely peonies. Peonies are obviously a very special flower. They only bloom for a few weeks out of the year. They'll come with buds that are quite tight or quite small. Some might be a little bit more bloomed, but if they do come really tight like this, don't underestimate what they have going on inside them, because these I put into a little bit of water in the window at our studio about a week ago. And so this was before and this is the after. And even these little guys that were still really tight a couple of days ago, I put a little bit of hot water into the vase and they just bloomed up beautifully. So they have a lot of potential just from their little buds. You might be able to see some work going on back there. We haven't put the curtain down. You might be able to see a few florists working away back there. But for our peonies, I'm just going to remove the lower leaves. Peonies they've been around a long time. They've been cultivated for about 2,000 years in China mostly. And they actually, if you plant a peony plant in your garden, it'll be there in the ground blooming for about 100 years. They're pretty incredible. And don't know about anyone else, but I love learning about the connection of Greek mythology to flowers, because it has a lot of stories in Greek mythology incorporate flowers. So, and I'll be working with my trusty white ceramic vase, and the design is going to be very, very simple because the peonies really are the star. You don't need to do too much in terms of the design because they're such a statement and they're so beautiful. So what we're going to do is start placing in our Statice, and we want it to meet kind of around about where I'm going to try and kind of step them in kind of low and then have the peonies coming out a little bit taller. So I'm going to measure against the vase like so and cut off the excess. I usually like doing it at the edge of the bench. Bring your vase to the edge, measuring like that, and cutting on a 45-degree angle. And then if there's any of these little bit of foliage left on the stem, just removing that. I'm just placing them in kind of 360, just spinning the vase and just placing them in. So the name Peony, I'm just going to go into a little bit of ancient Greek history, because why not, while we're all here together. So the name Peony comes from a healer of the Greek gods called Peon, and he used peony root to treat and heal Pluto, the god of the underworld. And his teacher, called Asclepius, was jealous of his talents, and so he threatened to kill him. And Zeus saved him by turning him into a peony flower, which is actually a very common, bit of a common trope actually in Greek mythology. The Aphrodite came across a dead nymph who she thought was very beautiful, so she turned her into a rose, or she turned her into a flower and named that flower Rose after her son Eros, which is an anagram for rose. I will keep going. Iris is the goddess of, she's the divine messenger and the goddess of the rainbow, and she was said to guide people who had died into heaven, in their ascension to heaven. So people would plant irises on their loved ones' graves to ensure that they had a smooth journey up to heaven and that they were assisted up to their beautiful afterlife. So there's lots of interesting connections between mythology and flowers that I find really interesting. Alrighty, I've put my Statice in anyway. Now that we're here, the Statice is all kind of just doing its thing. A little bit short around the base of the vase. I just think that's a nice look. So we'll start putting in our peonies. I might take up a little bit more of the foliage. And with the peonies, we want them to give them space to open. So if you can imagine, this will turn into Gemalnea. This will turn into this. Obviously, there's a lot more real estate that we need to leave for this one to open beautifully and not be inhibited by anything going on. So make sure that they're not crowded. That's going to be the main goal. Have a look. You can maybe see which one is the biggest. Maybe that can be, put that one in the center. All right, this guy. So this is my biggest bloom. Probably put it somewhere in the middle here. So same thing, I'm going to measure against the vase. Nice and tall, so it's not going to, a little bit more off. A little bit more. So that's where I'm going to place it. So you can see that usually we'd like the top of one flower to meet the base of the next, but I'm leaving a little bit of room just so it has some space to fully open up and there's not going to be any Statice in the way. So my next measure against the vase. There we go. There it is in there. Another one nice and tall, I think up here. If there's any foliage in the way, pop it off. Here you go. This did turn out to be a bit front facing. That's okay. If you want to do it 360, just spin the vase and add them. So I have my 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I'm going to add another one just back in here. Okay. So I've placed all my peonies. Obviously it doesn't look like much for right now. So what I'm going to do is take out my unbloomed peonies and put in my bloomed ones so you can see what the final product's going to be. If you do find any stubborn, really tight buds that aren't opening as fast as the rest, you can just take them out, put them in a little bit of warm water in a vase in a sunny spot for a day, and that will definitely encourage them to come out and join their friends. All right, that's kind of what they're going to look like when they're all bloomed up. And this is a bit more front facing, but you can scooch them around, show you where you're supposed to be. And so you can kind of see them from all angles. Sorry, that's making a weird noise. Yeah, so that's more what we're going to see, you know, a few days after they arrive, and they will last 5 to 10 days. I wish they were around for longer, but that's part of their appeal. It's part of their charm. So once your peonies have shown all, gone through their life cycle, you can take them out, and with your Statice, you can, much like we did with the baby's breath, if anyone also received that delivery, we can dry the Statice. So it's just more drying the stems and making sure that they don't get moldy. We can put them all together like so. Just tie them in a little bundle like this. Just have a rubber band right here. And you can put some twine around them and just hang them somewhere to dry. Give them, a week or two. just so that the stems become nice and dry. And then once the stems are sufficiently dried, you can just put them in a vase, and this beautiful colour will last for years, and it makes a really gorgeous dried arrangement. So that's kind of a little bit of a two-in-one.